Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another rendition of the Your Little Castle show. There are a lot of exciting guests that we have on the show that talk about impactful things that make a difference, but this one really hits home, and I was excited that you decided to join us to talk a little bit about what you do to change this little world a little bit. And I think what you do is incredible, wonderful, and so empowering, because so many people, everybody's going to go through some kind of difficult situation in life, and then it's a matter of how do they respond to that. Everybody knows about the coma that I overcame. And so Aimee and I have been talking here for a while, but welcome Aimee Tedoni with me, and she does an incredible job to help. I'm going to put your title up there so everybody can see your name up there. There we go. Aimee Tedoni, owner and founder of Awaken with Aimee, and then they can see the website here, awakenwithaimee.com. We're going to put that up here on the wall in just a second as well. But Aimee, welcome to the Your Little Castle show.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
Well, yeah, like I said, there's not to diminish anything else anybody does. Everybody's doing something to change the world, but this one hits home particularly with me because I survived a coma. I was hit by a drunk driver, and the odds they said I had to recover were, we had a doctor on my show later, and he said, Carter, I was an emergency room trauma surgeon, the doctor that would come in and put people back together. He says, you're 1 out of 100.
Wow.
First he said 1 out of 50. Then he said, no, you're 1 out of 100 that's going to recover, go through, and then come back for a full. Still something wrong with me. A lot of people know there's still something wrong. There's something wrong with all of us. But what I overcame, he says, the odds were slim. And because I was so fortunate to have the kind of doctors that I had and the support, somebody like yourself, with my parents, the counselors, my parents did not appreciate. They didn't use the same tactics you use. We won't get into that as much. But I want you to tell everybody why you do what you do and why you're so excited about how you impact this planet.
Well, I love helping people. I've always been passionate about helping people, and now I can use it in my profession. It's a journey for me. It's a personal journey for me, because when I became a parent, my life was turned upside down. I had all kinds of feelings and emotions that came up inside of me that I didn't understand. I didn't know how to accept or feel, and it was tumultuous for me, and I knew that there was something else that was more impactful that I could do.
Well, and you've taken that path now, and you're really impacting a lot of people's lives. And the way you got there is kind of interesting too. And it's somebody who's been through a tough situation yourself. And while we're talking about while we both know what Dilantin is, if anybody knows what Dilantin is, then they've been through something pretty severe. But now it's not even something they can use anymore. But it was a prescription for people that. In the past, it would help with seizures in my case, and it's something that's similar for you. With that, let's start on our high note with our sponsors and everybody we've got that we love for help making this happen. So give it up for Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things. Where do you like those nice things? You got to have them. Most of the time, they're in your little castle. So Brooke liked what we did there, and we appreciate the support there. And then also USA Mortgage, where you're going to get a house, you got to finance that usually. Not too many people are paying cash for a house. Some of the rich people are, but most of the rest of us, that's not the way we do it. But USA Mortgage, I do have my mortgage license. I work with the Flowers team. We're powered by the Flowers team. With that, now I want to put up the exciting part of our show here. And you'll see on the wall behind me, Aimee Tedoni's Awaken with Aimee website, Awaken with Aimee, AIMEE.com. I'm going to put that up so you can see how that's spelled correctly. And then your Facebook. And you've got a lot of great information on both places, and so people can really enjoy and appreciate that. So with that, Aimee, you're doing this now to make impact. Tell people a little bit about your background. A lot of times we don't ask people to tell us their background, but I think in your case, it attributes a lot to what you're doing, what you do. Tell us a little bit more about why you do what you do.
So you want to talk about past and surgery and Dilantin?
If you'd like to, whatever you would like to share. I want to make sure that people kind of get the understanding, because as you and I were chatting here before, I realized you went through something, and that's really helped. That's why I think people have allowed me to come in and talk to their kids, because they said, oh, he's been through it. And so that helps you to help people.
Yes. So I had seizures myself. I had my first febrile seizure when I was 9 months old, and then I had seizures my whole life. Took every medication on the market, nothing worked. Everything from phenobarbital to Depakote to Dilantin, Topamax, Tegretol, nothing worked. So in 2000, I became a candidate for brain surgery here in St. Louis. And I had brain surgery, and I've been seizure-free ever since. So in that time frame, all along, I was told, you need to take medicine, you have to take medicine, you're going to be on medicine for the rest of your life. These are the side effects, this is what you have to do. There's nothing to contain them, there's nothing to make them go away, and that just wasn't true. So I found the right doctor and I did the work, and I became a candidate. So I said, let's do this. I had brain surgery, I've been seizure-free ever since. So you never say never. Right?
Well, yeah, and that's where I realized all of what you had been through hit home for me. I mean, they said they had to wean me off Dilantin, if you will. You take that, and it'll stop the seizures and potentially save your life. But I talked to some medical experts, friends of mine, and they said, "Ooh, that's a harsh one, man. They don't even offer that anymore." But it served its purpose and saved me. But you have to go off of it over time, or else you can cause long-term effects. I don't even know all the details of that. But just going through such a traumatic situation, and likewise, how has that attributed and helped you to become the life coach that you are? I mean, you call yourself a coach,
A parent coach.
a parent coach, and tell me how do you think that's helped you to become so impactful with what you do?
Because I've always been a seeker. I have never given up. Always. I always knew there was a deeper purpose, a deeper meaning, and something more passionate in my life that I had to offer. And I fell into this through my own parenting struggles. So I understand, right, when we are triggered and we are in the turmoil of the tantrum or the meltdown or the argument or the power struggle, whether your child's 2 or your child is 16, right? The 2-year-old who doesn't want to put their socks and shoes on, the 16-year-old who doesn't want to go to school, right? It doesn't matter. But I understand because I've been there. I've done that. I've been out in the rain carrying the pumpkin seat and holding the 2-year-old, and no one is listening, and I'm just overwhelmed and frustrated that I just want to fall into the parking lot and lay down in the rain and just cry. I've been there. I've witnessed and experienced all the struggles that come in with the parenting journey.
Well, and that adds to just the depth of your perspective, I think, to help people to deal with this. I mean, when you've gone through what you've been through and also what I've been through, very similar. No two comas or severe seizure episodes are the same, but they have such an impact on your life. It helped me to realize and appreciate just being alive and the opportunity that I had. Tell me how it is then you have kind of, was there a turning point in your life? When was it you realized you wanted to go out and help other people with what you learned and what you've been through?
When I knew that when I was triggered with my own children and I was yelling and felt helpless and felt frustrated, I just didn't understand why I was feeling the way I did. And I knew that there had to be a better option. There had to be a better choice to make in my parenting struggles and dynamics. So I researched and researched, and I fell upon Dr. Shefali, and I entered her coaching institute during the prime time of the pandemic, when everyone was home and I was faced to be connected with my family, and I was faced to look at everyone all the time. I was then in the fire pit of the inferno, and I knew that I had to change.
Okay. And that's when those moments in our life we go, all right, now I'm on a path. Yes. Similar, we decided to launch this show. It was a big change for myself. I was doing very well, top sales guy in a large organization of 1,800, and I said, I can do something different to impact. Is that kind of what hit you? And you said, okay, now I've realized what I've gone through, and I understand better how to handle this myself. Did you handle it best yourself then, and what you were going through and how, raising your kids? And then you said you can help other people with this then too?
Yes.
Is that where you live?
And it's always been my passion and my purpose. I've been very passionate and full of purpose when it came to my health struggles with seizures or in my parenting journey. It's always been a passion of mine to help people. And now in my profession, when I have breakthroughs with clients and I see family members get off medicine and family members start to connect, they move away from coping mechanisms of yelling and fighting to connecting and playing That is purpose for me. My profession is purpose driven.
That's powerful. That's what we espouse to bring out in everyone. And many people get a great opportunity to help people develop the house that they live in or the
Sure.
career path that they're going on. But when you really have the impactful opportunities like you have here with what you're doing, now you get to. You and I were talking a little bit before that. We call this the bullpen, the pregame prep, where the body is an instrument that is guided by our mind, right?
Yes.
And it's not going to do anything other than what you tell it. So if you're telling it, okay, failure is coming, failure is imminent, prepare for failure, then that's what it sets up for. It is not possible for the mind at the same time to prepare to succeed. For the body to be ready for that. Tell us how that impacts what we're talking about here and why people have that. A lot of times they need to learn that.
Yeah, because the mind and the body are connected. The mind and the body are connected. So with my technique and my approach, it's a blend of Western psychology and Eastern philosophy, blended together, working on present moment. What is happening now? What is happening inside of the parent when the child doesn't want to put their toys away, doesn't want to go to school, doesn't want to get ready for bed, doesn't want to do chores around the house and help out? What's happening inside of the parent? That's the indicator of what needs to be healed.
Okay, so when somebody's having a meltdown or a breakdown or an emotional event, there is something that's triggered that.
Yes.
Then it's a matter of how do they respond. My dad, one of my favorite quotes from my dad, it's not the error that causes you to lose the game, it's how you respond to that error. And if you're programmed, this is where you get into what we talked about. If you're programmed to go, well, this is terrible and I need to have a fit, then that's what you're going to do, and you're going to then pass it on. You're going to do that to your children.
Yes.
But if you've been trained by somebody to say, here's how you can handle it, talk a little bit about that and how that can be changed if people are willing to listen.
So we can work on triggers, right? If you work with me, we'll talk about triggers. Everyone in any interpersonal relationship with anyone gets triggered. That person inside that relation taps into that inner wound, hence being triggered. And when you're triggered, how do you react? Are you a yeller? Do you shut down? Do you withdraw? Do you fawn? Do you leave? Those are all coping mechanisms that are faces of the ego.
Faces of the ego, everybody.
Yes.
So mentally, you said 90. Is it 90% of your clients are male?
Yes.
And so you're dealing with these guys they've got their ego. That's what when you said the word there, I mean, it felt that's the male side of the planet usually. And they say, well, I can do this and I don't need any help. And this is something I can figure out and I'm just going to bowl through it.
Right.
And tell me why that's a problem and what comes about because of that kind of approach.
And that is a huge problem that hopefully the mental health society is working on changing, because culture has said and has sent the message to men for a very long time to suck it up, to shh, quiet, don't talk about your feelings, don't be a wimp, don't be vulnerable, and that just isn't true. It just isn't true. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, doesn't matter your gender. Your feelings matter. And when someone is told to just suck it up, to, don't be a wimp, that just is a breeding ground for shame.
Okay, yeah, so that's where you're going to end up in a situation where, and I guess you're right. It doesn't always necessarily. It's a human characteristic. It's just as a matter of survival tactic. Right?
Yes.
We're just going to bowl through this thing, just roll over it, and keep on going. And when you do that, you miss all of what you could have learned, I guess, from what that situation offered to say. Hey, even if it was a challenge, something negative, your mind is just going through and not even observing what happened, and that becomes a trigger. Then it causes problems. So tell me how that impacts people. We're getting kind of deep here, everybody. Sorry, but this is where I think we can really help some people.
So let me ask you a question. If you take something, right? If you take something that's happening and you push it down and push it down and push it down, what really are you doing to it?
You're minimizing that it's even going on, right? You're taking that particular instance and saying, I'm going to ignore that this is happening.
Right. And when you ignore something and you push it down, what is the act that you're doing? If you push it down, keep pushing it down, pushing it down, pushing it down. Right?
Tell me, you're suppressing. I mean,
you're depressing it.
Depressing. Okay.
So you're depressing it, right? You push it down and you depress it.
I see.
So hence depression.
Depression.
If you aren't able, right? If you didn't have the space to have all of your feelings as a little child, or if it wasn't talked about, or if it was icky, or no one really knew how to self-soothe, then we have depression. Or if you're told to suck it up, don't be a wimp, don't cry, there's no crying allowed here, then we move to depression. And that's what causes depression.
Okay. So when people are actually depressed, it's because they've been depressing the opportunity to deal with what it is they've got going on.
Exactly.
And it's all okay, now that makes more sense why they title it as such.
Yes.
But we're just essentially ignoring what's going on, and then what the feedback we could be gaining from that, we end up causing the problem to become worse, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm getting a seminar here where we're learning already. Somebody's been through that, and I can imagine there's hardly anybody on this planet, if you've been around for too long, has been through some situation. Hopefully not a coma, but if there's going to be some difficult situations. Everybody's going to have to go through by the time you're 30 at least.
Sure.
And so we're talking about how to deal with that. How long have you been in this mode now? How long have you been counseling people? What's the professional background? And then, I mean, your whole life you've kind of been involved with this, but tell me a little bit more about the background.
So this is where my ego has served me, where I have been the helper. So now I use it in my profession because I have helped people my whole entire life. But that is my purpose, and I know that is my mission here.
Okay.
So helping people and seeing people understand their patterns from their childhood, how they can acknowledge them and become aware of them so they can change them and heal them, is purpose-driven for me.
And it's something you've done all your life.
And
especially based on a little bit what you suffered through and went through yourself.
Yes.
What was intriguing to me, again, I've got a written list of questions here, everybody, that I tend to go through, but I knew this would be such an endearing and something I would connect with, that I want to go a little bit off script. But you talked a little bit about how for so long they just kept giving you more medication, more medication, and then you ran into a doctor who said there's actually scarring going on. There's damage inside of your brain, and then they're going to take the risk. I mean, this is a higher just when they're going to open up your skull and say, hey, well, we know where we've isolated where this particular issue has resound, and we're going to just remove that little piece of the brain that keeps having scars. You said every time you get a seizure, it was reopening the wound and re-scarring. And the minute they removed that, this all went away. How did they detect that? And what was it like going through that surgery, understanding what the risks were, and then obviously it worked out well for you?
It did. It was one of the best things that has ever happened to me, besides becoming a parent. Yeah. So I had to be in the hospital, weaned off my medication for 2 weeks under 24-hour surveillance. So then I had in-depth tests taken. I had multiple MRIs. I had PET scans, and it was in-depth, but it was well worth it. And I am extremely happy that I did this, and I'm happy now, and I've been seizure-free ever since.
Yeah, that's where the impact of such a traumatic situation and understanding what you were going to go into a surgery. I had surgeries after my coma, etc., and just all of what is at stake there. But when you realize this was the answer and it helped you to recover, how did you feel afterwards when you're actually in the recovery and you recognize you're not having seizures anymore? What was the psychological effect it had for you that'll help you to then recover yourself? And then I guess that's when you said, I want to go off and help other people too.
Yes. So afterwards, I had to be medically supervised by the doctor for up to a year and have all my medication levels evaluated. And I knew that there was something bigger for me out there, and I didn't take any medicine. So I stopped my medication on my own because I knew there was something better for me. I didn't have any seizures, and I started to lose weight. I started to find myself then. I've always been on the journey of the self since I was a little kid, right? I've always been a seeker, like I said before. What is my purpose? What is my purpose here? Because I'm very purpose driven. So after my brain surgery, after the doctors told me, you could have, of course this can kill you. You can die. You can have a stroke. You can be paralyzed. It can change your personality. You can lose one of your senses. And I said, okay, then something's got to be better than this, than taking all this medicine and wrecking all kinds of cars. So I took a gamble and rolled the dice, and I won. And that's how I feel. I changed my life from the moment I came home, and it took me 1 year to the day to lose 100 pounds because I decided to feel my feelings instead of feed them.
Now we're getting into what was this? Feel your feelings rather than feed them.
Yes.
Is that what you said there?
Yes.
Okay. Talk about that. People are feeding the monster that's bringing them down because, and this is where I'll get into the next thing I would think. Get back around unintentionally. This is the way God works sometimes, right? We'll get into that. Tell me how that works and why that is what causes the issue to never be resolved, it sounds like, I guess.
For emotional eating?
Yeah, when you're feeding the problem.
Yeah,
mentally,
when you're
I guess,
feeding the problem, when you don't really know, when you are disconnected from self and don't really know what you're feeling or why you're feeling it, that is a coping mechanism to feed. I don't really understand what's happening inside of me. I don't understand why I feel this way. I don't know what's happening inside of me, but a coping mechanism is to feed your feelings, right? To feed, eat. It's called emotional eating. So I'm feeling really sad. Now I'm going to eat. I'm feeling really happy. Let's order pizza and eat, right? Okay. All of this emotional eating instead of feeling your feelings.
You're not dealing with the problem.
You're not dealing with the problem. You're just in a pattern and a coping mechanism.
Okay. And that's where we talked a little bit about psychologically, then how do you convince your back to what we talked a little bit, but how powerful is the mind? How powerful what are we truly capable mentally to overcome these things? Because we just tell ourselves, and we talked a little bit about it before pregame a little bit, people who've had cancer,
Yes.
and they willed the cancer to leave their bodies, so for the body to take over. That's the kind of power our mind really has. We don't hear about that because we're coached the opposite direction so often, to feed the economy and the
right.
financial system and the big monster of we're gonna get in trouble. Is that the way it goes? I mean, but that we're all diving into this system that doesn't fix the problem.
Right, right. Because Western medicine doesn't believe that the mind and the body are connected, and they truly are. The mind and the body are connected. And I told myself when I was on the surgery table, when they put me in a big white lift like you would weigh a whale, because I weighed 289 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Right, pre-surgery. I told myself, if you can do this and this works, then you are going to change everything about your life. And I did. Once I got it right in here, I was unstoppable.
So psychologically, you said, I'm going to take this on mentally to say, I can overcome this. My body is now going to respond to what my brain is telling it. This is what I talk about. I've given speeches about my coma and what I overcame.
Yes.
And it's because when you start to believe, then the body just says, oh, well, then we're going to go a different direction. We're going to conquer this. Then the body just is doing what it's told. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
And that took over for you too?
Yes. The mind and the body are connected. Yes.
Okay. And there's a lot more control that we have. We're programmed essentially, I hate to say the word victim, but effectively we're told to be victims. This is something out of our control. I need something to cover up the problem.
Yes.
Give me a drug that makes me feel better versus,
yes.
hey, here's the root cause of this issue. And if you would apply these, I'm going to a chiropractor today. We talked earlier.
Yes.
I moved my appointment back a little bit because I wanted to spend more time talking to you here today. And when you treat the root cause of the problem, now you're going to be able to recover from it rather than just letting it continue to linger. How many years then, I guess, with yourself, were they just switching medications for you, never dealing with the root problem that you were suffering from?
23 years. 23 years.
23 years. That's a quarter or a half of a lifetime almost.
That's right. That's right.
And that's a long time to not have a solution if they had just, and you think that's just the way the Western medicine is applied. They say,
Yes.
here's this, the mind has nothing to do with this. Keep covering, the mind is sensing these things, but just tell it and cover it up and fix it with some medication.
That's right. That's right. And that's what happens now with eating disorders, with eating problems, with emotional eating, right? Take this drug, this will help you. Take this drug, you'll lose weight with this. Eat this, you'll lose this weight. Be on this pattern or on this system, you'll lose weight. But when we get to the root cause, why are you up at 2 o'clock in the morning eating ice cream? What's the feeling inside the body? What's going on?
There we go, everybody. So now we're
Are you sad? Are you lonely? What are you feeling right now? What is the feeling? You're feeling lost, uncertain, scared, out of control, frustrated, mad, tired. What is it that you're feeling right now? When we are given the container and the space to feel our feelings, they come and we feel them just like the clouds, and then they go. No one is mad forever. No one is tired forever. No one is hungry forever. That's why the beautiful essence of a child, you can watch them. The 2-year-old can fall down and hurt her knee and cry, and you console her and ask her if she's okay. She gets up and goes right back to playing. She can come and feel her feelings in her true essence.
Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I can imagine there's enough people out there going, all right, I need to talk to Aimee. We're going to go through another half hour here, everybody. We've got 2 half-hour shows. I talked to Aimee and said, hey, if you'll spend a little more time with us, we'll spend another half hour. But hopefully you've got enough information here. We're going to talk about more in the second half hour coming up. That'll air this is 2 different days this week, and then they're always available on our YouTube, Facebook channels. I give a copy to all of our guests. But with that, I want to glance up here on the wall for everybody because behind us you can see Aimee's website and her Facebook. But I'm going to switch tabs over here as we got over. This is the Book Now page. So if you go over to the far right at the top of the page, click this. It takes us to the Book Now page, and I'm going to go ahead and now put that on the wall for everybody to see. So this is it. This is where, as you click that Book Now, it drops you down and puts the information very quick and easy to get access here, so people can get help. And this allows people to then really deal with the problem, and you're there to help them.
Yep.
All right, everybody, we jumped through that first half hour very quickly. Get a hold of Aimee. She does an incredible job to help a lot of people, and we're going to talk more here, but Awaken with Aimee, awakenwithaimee.com. Stay tuned for more, everybody. Watch this second show. Giddy up.